Awesome.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening to Australia. How are you today, Simone? Thank you for
I'm
joining us.
good. I'm great. That sound is way better. I could hardly hear you before.
Yeah, I think it is maybe when Simone comes, my kind of AirPods get connected and they just go
I
better.
see.
So
Well, it's all good now.
it's your presence probably in this live that makes it better. Thank you. Thank you for
Maybe.
joining us here.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So I gave a kick-ass intro for you that I received, and that is something, that I have personally followed the book Joy of Business that I am so fond of, because this is something they don't teach in business school or
I
anywhere.
know they don't, do they? No.
And all the business, like I have worked a lot on my business, my self-development, and the techniques and tools that are in the book Joy of Business are so different. I think I've read the book thrice now, and it's just
I, yeah. I get a lot of people coming up to me with like little post-it notes on there or like, oh, it's all dog-eared or little notes and everything and asking me if I can sign the book, which is an absolute honor and a pleasure that so many people have received so many of the Access Consciousness tools from there. It makes me very happy.
wow. And how did you get into this? How did you end up writing this book? And could you share more about that?
Yeah, sure. Probably like many of your listeners, it's like, do you look at business in a different way? Because I know that I did. And I remember it's actually funny that you're from India. I came up with this business idea and I
Mm,
wanted to start importing and exporting. And I remember talking to my father, who was an accountant, and my brother, who was an accountant, and talking about these ideas. And they said to me, well, you've chosen this business that's going to take a lot of time. It's going to mean X, Y, Z. And I remember looking at this going, I know that business can be done different, but I also knew at that time that I couldn't talk about it because it was like business was done a certain way. It was very linear. I mean, I don't know about you, but most of my friends were, it's like Wednesday, halfway through the week, Friday, yay, it's the weekend. And where I was always like, it's Monday, yay.
yay.
What are we going to create this week? And I remember this friend said to me, you make me sick how much job satisfaction you get. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, Simone, I've known you for years. Every single job you have, you love it. And I looked at him and I was like,
Mm,
why wouldn't you love it? Like, if you don't love it, what are you doing it for? That was always my point of view. And Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and myself were having a conversation one day. And I was talking about a choice that someone was making. And I said to him, it doesn't make sense to me. This is business, and what they're doing, like the choice that they're making, has no joy in it. It's not joyful. And he looked at me and he
mhm.
went, what do you mean? And I went, well, business is joyful. And he went, no, it's not. And I went, yeah, it is. And he went, no, it's not. And we had this like back and forth until he went, Simone, you've got to get that your point of view around business is completely different. Like in this reality, people don't do business for the joy of it. And that was a moment. I was in Perth, Western Australia, and I was standing there and I was like, what? And it was just this obvious piece of information. But for me, it was such a change in the paradigm of the way I was looking at everything. And he said to me, you should start doing classes. So all the tools from the book are from Access Consciousness. And I started to do classes and I noticed how grateful people were. They'd come up and what I was taking for granted, the way everyone would function, they'd come up and be so grateful. And then I went, So then I decided to put it into a book. And now the book is in like, I think it's 14 different
13
languages and
languages,
still
yes.
more languages coming. So yeah.
Mm. That's such a gift. And like I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather started a business and in manufacturing rotating electricals in India. And so but that's one of the things that I have, one of the points of views that I was kind of born with and kind of lived through my life was that business is difficult. Hard work makes you money.
I know, crazy.
And
But it doesn't have to. So what have you discovered though? I mean, have you made business hard or has it been fun for you?
so one of the things that opened up for me after reading the books, and that's also that what the kind of mission that I am on, doing the different courses, reading books, is to make life easier for me, making
Yeah.
business easier for me, because business, I would say, is or work, so to say, is maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, and 8 hours I'm sleeping. So it's more than it's more almost 50% of the day I'm spending in at work, and that's got to be joyful. So finding that joy inside the business is what led me there. And simple tools, for example, the receiving part. One of the things that you mentioned in the book is, if you're going to be successful in business, you have to be willing to receive money from everyone without judgment. Now,
Yeah.
that, and what I got present to was, there's also this minimum amount of money that I'm willing to receive, below which I won't acknowledge it. So, for example, it used to be $100. So anything less than $100 or 100,000 Indian rupees, or like, everyone has that minimum set of amount that you're willing to work for or receive, below which we won't acknowledge it, or we won't be grateful for it, is what opened up, one of the things that opened up for me. Now, even if it's just a single $1, I'm grateful for it. And how does it get any
Oh,
better than
good.
just keep it
That
coming?
makes me happy. Yeah. Because, I mean, and the thing is, if you don't make it about money, like I was talking to someone today, and here's a couple of things too. Like, even when you're saying receiving, like, my day started this morning. It's, after 7 o'clock here now. And the first class I had was at 7 a.m. And then, it's very sporadic because of the worldwide time zones. I'm usually busy at, 6, 7, 8 in the morning because the world is awake. And I know it's very early for India, but Europe's awake still, etc. And I had this sort of like weird funk in my world, and I live across the road from the beach. Now, most people would go, oh, well, I've got to do the next thing and start working. And I knew that my assistant arrived, and I said, I need to take myself off to the beach. I've got to give myself some space. And I went there for like 30 minutes, but I was just walking on the beach. There was hardly anyone there, my feet in the ocean, and I made some phone calls. But that's like, so many people would say, oh, that's not working, or that's not doing something. And it's not true. It's like I was more productive walking on the beach, like just giving myself some space and being able to have a conversation with one of my colleagues. And it's one of the businesses that he has. And he said to me, I'm starting to stress out because I don't have that much money in the business bank account. And I said, okay. And he said, I realize that I make my life easier when I have more money. And I said, yeah, but that means you're making money as the source of creation. So if you have money in the bank account, then you make money equals that is the source of creation. It's not true. We are the source of creation. So one of the things that we started asking each other, and I said, look, what if we actually implemented joy and possibilities? Because money follows joy, and people always make it about money. And I'm sorry, you are the one that has created your life as it is today. You're the one that's created if you have money or you don't have money, if you have possibilities or you don't, if you're angry, if you're sad, if you're happy, if you're frustrated. You are the source of your life and living. So if we asked for, like, so we're on the beach and I was like, let's ask for more joy and more possibilities to show up. Now, that's not a how. Like, you don't go to the, well, what is that going to look like? It's not the
Hmm.
conclusion of it or looking for an answer. It's
Hmm.
literally being in question and even asking, okay, so what would it take for today in business, your money flows, what would it take for today to be greater than it was yesterday? And that's something that I ask a lot every single day. What would it take
Wow.
for today to be greater than yesterday? You're asking a question and you're expanding out, because a lot of the times what I see people do is they start to compress. Like, if the sales figures aren't coming in, or the client
Hmm.
didn't show up, or, all of a sudden, like this person, all of a sudden a staff member got another job and wanted to work somewhere else. And he said, I'm really happy for this person working for somewhere else, but we need him at the moment. It's about to be Christmas. Another question. What's right about this we're not getting? What if someone greater even showed up? And it's not based on judgment. You're just asking for greater. Because if you ask for greater, then it can show up. But if you compress and have all these like compression levels and go, no, like this is happening, that's what you'll create. Like you're saying, with your family, growing up with business is difficult. You have that point of view, then business becomes difficult. You create your reality, like by what you think and by what you say. So what would you like your business to be? Joyful, happy, fun, make lots of money? Ask for it.
100%. And I've also, I've interacted with a lot of millennials and, many second and third generation millennials in the family business. They are unhappy with their current position, because on one hand, life looks amazing. It looks very glitzy and nice, with all the cars and the houses and everything that we are blessed with by our previous generations. But then they're not happy
So
because they
what are they
have the
not happy
money,
with? What are they not happy with?
the culture, the work culture, the typically going to the office every day and creating and interacting with the environment that has probably been there for last 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, and India is an interesting country like that too. It's like it. I mean, I don't know where you're from, but I used to go to Delhi and do a lot of business. I used to go to Delhi and Jaipur, and in Delhi I used to go to a place called Paharganj. I don't know if you
Yep.
know it, but
I
every
know,
time
I'm
I
from
tell an
Delhi.
Indian that, they go, "You went to Paharganj?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah." And a
I
friend of
don't go to
mine who's
Paharganj also,
I know that's
so
with so many of my friends who are in India, and they go, and I said, I need to take you to see my Paharganj. But every time I went there, it
Hmm.
was the same people, and I noticed like even, um, like the guy that had his little stand and he was selling padlocks. For years he's selling padlocks, and then the next time I come along, and his son is there selling padlocks with him. So it's a very I know. I mean, I don't know if you talk about that or not, but I know when I used to go and do business in India, and they eliminated the caste system for legally, but
Hmm.
it wasn't eliminated. It was just then went underground, and it's like
Yep.
so. And the family business in India is so um, ingrained that that's what you're supposed to do. So what I'm going to ask is how many of the millennials and working in the family business have decided that they don't have choice, and nobody likes to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Not even not even a good Indian son likes to be told what to do. So what if you acknowledge that though, and you went, okay, so at the moment it's like I have no choice. If I had choice, what could I choose and what could I implement here that would be different? Like, what if you
Hmm.
went into the workspace and do whatever you have to do? It's like if you have got to go make some chai for your father or your mother or your grandfather or something like that, and sit down and say, you know what, could you help me? It's like I see what you've done here is an absolutely brilliant job, and this business is so successful, and I'm so incredibly grateful. I'm just wondering if there's a couple of ideas that we could play with and ask them
Hmm.
questions. Because if you go in with hands on hips going, oh, you guys don't see it, there's a new way to do things,
Yep.
then are they going to be, responsive to that? Or is it more like a confrontation? It's a total manipulation to walk in and do this and, hey, here's some tea. Can I get you something to eat? What can I do for you? Sort of thing.
Yep.
Would you be willing to listen to me for a moment and just maybe if we have some of these questions and if we maybe try this over here and see if it works. So ask them questions and see if something can change.
It's definitely that makes so much sense because us millennials we come with our list of degrees and we enter the workspace and then there's this particular legacy that's going on there and then we are treated as, oh, he's got no experience and he's coming in like that, but that is a greater manipulation for a greater possibility, so to say, because then if the millennials are happy and the next generation is happy in the business kind of grows forward or in maybe ways we would have never thought of.
Yeah, but what I'm also going to say is come off the rightness of your point of view, like everybody. I was talking to a friend a while ago, and she's, considered a baby boomer. And they hired some millennials to come in. And
Hmm.
she said, we were sitting around and we are extrapolating about how we can, expand the business. And a few of them came up with these ideas. And she said, I found myself wanting to say to them, oh, no, we've already tried that. It didn't work, which is what everybody's told. And you go, really? So what she did instead was she was like, okay, so what if we tried it again? And if we tried it again, what is your awareness about this? And how do you see this being? Like, what action can we take today to implement
Hmm.
this, to actualize it? Because, in business, I find there's a lot of people who talk a lot too about what can be done. But if you ask each day, okay, so what action can we take? Like, what is it going to take to actualize what we're talking about here? But if we all come off the rightness, I mean, like millennials thinking that they're right, it's like, you know, the Y generation, the X generation, baby boomers, like everyone has this point of view that the way they do it is the right way. What if that's not really their point of view? What if it's more about the willingness to receive, as you mentioned, like the willingness to receive information and awareness from absolutely everyone? What I would suggest the next time you're going to work, it's like, you know, destroy and uncreate all your points of view that you have about the business and about the people that you work with and your relationships that you have, and ask, okay, what are you aware of? And the person who's also the quiet person in the room, ask them, hey, do you have something? What are you aware of? Because there's usually like tick, 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 all these different, you know, amazing ideas. And if we were going to create everything on our own, then that's all you'd ever have. But when you include everyone and all of their awareness, then your business can expand, and it can be easy, and it can be joyful and fun.
And fun, as long as it's fun, you know, life's got to be fun, and we look forward to it the next day also. You know, going every day, waking up in the morning and get excited, like you said, yay, it's a Monday morning. You know, I'm so
Yeah.
excited to go to work. That's how
Yes.
life's got to be. It doesn't have to be that hard. But could you talk more about receiving for all the millennials listening to this? And I'll post this video also on my Instagram
Sure.
later. So
Sure. Well, one of the things that I've noticed is that people are not taught to receive. It's not something that we're taught. You're meant to look after yourself. You're meant to do this. Like I was watching a movie yesterday,
mhm.
and also men and women have this huge thing because, you know, the women's lib movement came along, and women went, I'm fine, I can do this on my own. And men went, I don't know what to do anymore. Do you want me to open the door? Do you want me to pick up your bag? And, you know, women are going, no, I'm fine. And then it's like, it got so confusing. Whereas, and I was watching this movie, and this guy goes to pick up this woman's bag, and she goes, I've got it. And then they go to walk up all these steps or something, and he goes, I can carry your bags, or you can leave them at the bottom. And she goes, no, it's fine, I've got it. And she does it, carries her own bag, and it's obviously not fun for her. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just say thank you? That would be awesome. It doesn't mean you're less than when you receive. The next time someone says to you, hey, can I get you a tea, or can I get you a coffee, or can I get you a drink, or hey, I'd love to buy you this, or whatever, just say thank you. Or the next time someone even says, wow, that looks great, love you in that blue sweater, say thank you.
Thank you.
Because
Yep.
we tend to go like that, you know, most people go, oh, this is, you know, this is old, or this is whatever, or, you
Yep.
know, I got this last year, or, you know, oh, I look better in this, or, and it's like, what if you just started receiving? And a great way to do it, to practice that as well, is to find somewhere in nature. If you're lucky enough to be able to have some woods, beach, bush, something like that around you, or even if you just find a plant and sit there with the plant and just like receive from it, because nature has no judgment. It's like, maybe there's birds or something like that, it's like, or whatever, it's like nature has no judgment. And if you start to receive with no point of view, the reason why we don't receive so much is because we have a judgment, and we pick up on the projections and expectations that we have and others have, and go, oh, I better create this separation, you know, which has the place of rejecting possibilities. If you actually started to receive everything right now, then you're also going to get quite uncomfortable. You will start to
Oh,
receive information and awareness about people, about situations that you may not enjoy totally. But what if, and here's a great tool, if you're willing to receive all information and the awareness, interesting point of view, okay? That tool, interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, they have this point of view. But if you receive all of the information, then when you're working with someone too, you can literally be in a room with, you know, however many people, and ask, okay, so not out loud, it's like, you know, from your awareness, it's like, what's the agendas here? What are people's agendas here? Not from judgment, just from the willingness to receive the information. So maybe you work with, like right now, if you put your attention on the people that you work with, you know, is there
mhm.
someone there that their agenda is pretty much just to make money? Sometimes there's someone, you know, I work with a few people who will do as little as possible to get paid the money that they have. You know, that's their agenda.
Yep.
How can I get away with doing as little as possible? Other ones, there might be an agenda to prove their worth, you know, Another one might be, you know, it's like it goes on, but it's not about judgment. It's about the awareness you have. And if you receive that information, then you can work with that and be like, okay, so this person over here who's pretty much doing everything for money, then that's going to be the manipulation you use in order to get them to create or choose more or step up or whatever is required. So in the Joy Business book, and I know like with the Access Consciousness classes, it's like it's about expanding your awareness out so that you're willing to receive all information, not just the awareness that you've decided that you'd like to have. Like how many times do you go, oh, I received this, but not this. What if you
Yeah.
just received it all?
That happens. That is, and also, you know, what you mentioned about agendas, how so when I go to work, the typical agenda is like 80% of the people, in fact, would have this agenda. This is the common thought that we operate with to just get done by getting the minimum work done. So get done for the day by getting the minimum work done. Now, is that an awareness or is that just the perception that we are kind
Well,
of
is it
operating
something
with?
that's been entrained? And if you've got people around you like that, one of the things I would ask them too is truth in your head, right? Ask truth in your head, because if you ask truth energetically, it's a universal law that you'll end up knowing the truth. So if you ask truth and say, hey, do you still want to do this job? And you'll get this yes or no. Just because you've been doing the job for the last year or the last 5 years or 10 years or 20 years doesn't mean you want to keep doing it.
Hmm.
So I've had many conversations with people I work with. When you ask them that question, they have the awareness, you know what? No, I'm getting bored, or maybe this is not something that I'm enjoying anymore. Then you can start to explore, okay, so what other ideas do you have, or what else? Is there something else within the company that you would like to be contributing to?
Wow.
Again, it's asking questions, asking the people
Hmm.
questions, because most people think, oh, if I admit that I'm bored, then I'll be fired. No, what if,
Hmm.
you're working in the accounts department and all you want to do is chat to people and you go, you know what, I'd really like to be answering the phones. I want to just cold call people. Can I do that? But you've never actually asked that person. So even if you sit
Yep.
down and say, hey, is this fun for you? Like, or
Hmm.
is there something else that you see? Like, what other awareness do you have within the company or the business that you would like
Hmm.
to contribute? And empower them. Empower people
Yeah.
to choose what it is that is fun for them. Because guess what? If you do that with the people that you work with, guess what's going to
Hmm.
happen with the business? It's going to grow. But you've also got to be
100%.
willing to be out of control.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people who are control
Oh,
freaks, including me.
oh, yeah. Businesses mean, and I love the point of empowering them because this is, I think, never been done. Asking a staff member, hey, what is fun for you? What is it that you would like to do? And this person's been working in a particular, department for a long, long time.
Yeah,
And given the fact we ask them is so empowering, and then they do a better job at whatever they choose because they chose it.
yeah, exactly. They chose it. See, that piece of information is key. They chose
Mm.
it. Yeah.
So have
And
have
if you're
have
listening
them.
to this and watching this and you're older and then you're working with millennials, just flip it. It's like same thing. It's like say to them, oh my goodness, how did we get so lucky to have you here? What's your awareness? What is it that you would like to choose? Because if you empower people to choose, they're going to show up and do much greater. Like I remember there was this guy I worked with years ago in LA, and I said to him, he said, okay, I've written down these 10 things that I can see that we need to get done. I went, okay. So we looked at the 10 things, and I looked at the 10 things and went, yeah, you're correct. They do need to get done. But instead of going, great, can you work on this? That's telling him, I went, which one of these would you like to start with? And he went, oh, well, I'd like to start with this, and then this, and then this. And then he just went, and then went through everything. But it was his choice. You weren't dictating.
Mm.
Micromanaging is one of the biggest things that you can do to kill a business.
And that's what they teach in business schools. That's
To
what all the business
micromanage.
schools. Yeah,
Well,
they
do you want to? I'll let you in on a secret. I don't have a business degree, and this was very funny. I wrote the book Joy Business, and it was so hard for me to release the book because I kept having this judgment of myself that I'm writing this book on business and I don't have a business degree. And then I looked at it and I went, well, hang on a second. I traveled around the world for 3 years, pretty much
mm,
nonstop, working in all these different industries, came home, worked in all these different industries. And what I did have was was a joy of business. And every single business I worked in, I would like milk it in and just be like, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? And then when I came along to Access Consciousness and listen, one of the first seminars I ever went to was a business seminar with Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access. And I sat in the front row just going, oh my goodness, everything he was talking about, I knew was possible, but nobody else was talking about it. So
Yep.
I got over my point of view that I had to have a whole lot of letters after my name and just went, you know what? I have a joy business. I be that. And that is what is required. Like one of my favorite tools I got from Gary at the first class, I was sitting there and I flew to San Francisco and he was talking about, you know, how many people in their business have the point of view that nobody can do the business better than them. And I was like, oh my goodness, me. That was my point of view.
100%.
No one can do it better than me, you know?
Yep.
So if you have that one point of view, who are you going to hire? You're only going to hire people who cannot do it as good as you. And I was sitting there going, oh my goodness. And I have all this staff at home and all I've done is hire people who can't do it as good as me. So I went home and I started asking for people to show up who were better than me. And not based on judgment, who just enjoyed sales more than me, enjoyed accounts more than me, enjoyed, you know, admin, filing more than me, and all of that. And I started to ask for people who were better and greater than me to show up. And so many people go, oh, well, if that happens, then maybe they'll just start their own business. Not everybody wants to own a business. So
Yep.
if you own a business, ask for people who are greater than you to show up, and it's going to make your life way easier. And I have a friend of mine who's a lawyer in Europe, and I gave him this one tool, and he changed the entirety of his business based on that. And now he gets to travel around the world and do it pretty much whatever he wants because he started hiring people that could contribute in a different way.
This is phenomenal. This is something that, so because, you know, we also hire, and in the back of our head is this sense of we are greater than them to kind of show them how to get things done, and this is how it is. And that is, in fact, what is kind of limiting the growth or controlling the
Yeah,
growth, would you say?
absolutely. Yeah, you think that if you control it, you'll make it greater. Bum, bum,
Hmm.
wrong. It's like if you control it, you're going to make it less than. It's like, so what if you were willing to be out of control with your business? What else could show up?
It's out of control. That'll probably, you know,
Yeah.
make it
Like
grow like that.
instill, I mean, I would talk about instilling chaos. Like we do these business done different classes around the world. There's joy business facilitators. They're amazing. And one of the things I would talk about is you require order and chaos. Okay. And most people go, chaos? No. It's like, I'm not talking about havoc. It's like, I'm talking about order and chaos. And when you
Hmm.
like ask each day, what does the business require? Is order required or chaos? And if you instill chaos into the business and instill chaos into, you know, the money flows, it's like the possibilities, then it allows something different to show up. But if you're only functioning from order, then you go, this is what it has to look like. Oh, it's this time, this has to happen, this dun, 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 dun. And chaos is just like, you know what? My day didn't show up the way I even slightly thought it was going to show up. But hey, this, you know, here it is. Like if you put a budget together for a business, how many times do you reach budget? It's like, or you focus on the budget rather than out-create it and still chaos and
Uh,
just out-create the budget. And it's like,
yeah.
but don't ignore it. It's like have the awareness of like, okay, so how much money do we require in order to, you know, run this business, in order to break even, in order to make a profit? What sort of profit can we make? What month is it? Like start to look at all of that. That's the order, but instilling chaos and allowing different possibilities to show up.
And it's like what I understand, it's like a cycle. It's a cyclic thing. So first instill chaos and then have that growth and then maybe put things in order once they've
Yeah,
grown.
sometimes
Does that
things
make
that, you
sense?
know, yeah. So ask, okay, is order required here or chaos? And
Hmm.
they contribute to each other.
Because growth in control is super, like it consumes so much energy. Energetically, it's so, you know, consuming and hard, I would say, rather than just
Which then,
chaotically.
like your point of view of your family saying, the business is hard, and it's like that's where that
Yeah.
comes from, and then you go, business is
Hmm.
hard, rather than what if it was easy? What if your business was so easy that people thought you were a lunatic?
Wow. Yeah, and then that is the judgment again that I'll receive to kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
go
That
further.
people are like, how come it's so easy for you? And you're like, because I choose easy. Simple. That's
Oh
it.
my God.
And what you have to do though is become like ridiculously wealthy. So then you just become, you know, you're like this extravagant, extraordinary, wealthy person that is what's the word I'm thinking of? The uh, when someone says someone's crazy, but when they got lots of money, it's sort of more acceptable.
Yeah, yeah, I got
So
that.
yeah,
Society accepts that, and
yeah,
they in fact look up to that. They
yeah, yeah.
so
But you are the
what
source
are
of possibilities, not money.
possibilities, and then this is one of the possibilities that will possibly get
Mm-hmm.
created further. So, Simone, what are some of the challenges that you overcame? Could you share?
Yeah, look, I say one of the biggest challenges I overcame was money. I my second book that I wrote was Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, and I created myself to be a financial mess. Basically, you would never have been able to tell. I just still, I wasn't one of those people who complained about it or did the trauma and drama. I just was ignoring my finances. And then one day I went to all these access classes, and I was at an access class. It's called Money Isn't the Problem, You Are, with Gary Douglas and Dane here. And it's at the Gold Coast, Australia. And I was sitting in the audience going, okay, here they are talking about these, access tools with money. And I was like, yeah, here we go again, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I went, what am I doing? It's like every other tool I've used with access consciousness has worked, but I'm not using them with money. And my point of view was, oh, they're not going to work on me with money. So I sat there in the audience and I went, I think I'll pick a few tools. And I picked 3 tools and I started implementing them, and I didn't tell anyone. And then I started to change within weeks my financial reality. So I, that to me was a huge game changer for me. And even one of the main things was I realized once I started to implement these tools, and one day I was sitting in my office and I was looking at my computer and my bank accounts and everything, and I realized that I had money and I wasn't in debt anymore. And I was on my own. And I was sitting there and I went, wow. And I was like, this is it? And I was like, this is not
Oh,
very exciting. Like I thought, surely someone's going to come in and be like, yay, Simone,
yeah.
you did it. Congratulations, fireworks, here's a bottle of champagne or something. But that was it. And I went, okay, so that's what being not in debt is like. Okay. And then 2 weeks later, I realized that I had created debt again. And I went, what am I doing with this? So I started to ask myself questions of what do I love about being in debt? And one of the things I realized, which I'm not saying makes any sense, but if we could work
Mm,
out everything with our logical mind, we'd have everything we ever desired. It's the insane points
yep.
of view that lock us up. And
Hmm.
one of the things I realized was I was comfortable. I knew that energy. I knew that energy of being in debt. I knew that energy of making just enough at the last minute to pay the bills. And I went, oh, I have no idea what it feels like for me to have, copious amounts of money, lots of money that I've made. Like to have money. And there's a lot of people who are good at making money, but they're very quick at spending it as soon as they get it.
Hmm.
Okay. So then I went, oh, what if I was willing to be in that energy of actually having money? And I did things like I walked into shops and, would try it on a Rolex and would be like, okay, you know, because I would have the point of view that I couldn't afford it rather than, and I was like, okay, so what if I could afford this? And there's an access consciousness clearing statement, right? Can I use it? And I would
Please go
say,
ahead.
so everything that doesn't allow me to know that I can, that I can purchase this watch, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. You can find out more about that clearing statement at theclearingstatement.com. Dr. Dane here talks about it. He's amazing. And
Hmm.
but the whole thing is because if you have the point of view that you can't afford something, that's what you'll create. I can't afford this. Whereas if you, in the clearing statement, you go to the point of creation and the point of destruction of where you chose that, where you decided that was right, good, perfect, wrong, etc. And a lot of the times it's from how you grew up, whether it's family, culture, religion, society, like your little geographical region of where you grew up. It's like you tap into all the thoughts of so many people around you, and then you start to believe that that's yours. Oh, I shouldn't have too much, you know, because that would be greedy. Or why? Why don't you have everything you ever desired? What if
Mm.
that was, you know, that's not being selfish. That's just asking and receiving and having more in life. It's like, why not? So I would say the whole getting out of debt and the money thing was a very pivotal change in my life. Like I remember, you know, not being able to, like struggling to make the money to get an economy ticket from Australia to the US to go to, you know, an access class, and sleeping on a mattress on someone's lounge room floor because I didn't have money to have, you know, hire a hotel. And I remember going, okay, this is not going to work. This is not fun. I need to make more money. And I made that demand that I changed my financial situation because I was like, I want to stay in a
Wow.
hotel and I don't want to share a room. I want to stay on my own. And, you know, and then
Mm.
I remember the first time I traveled business class and I was just like, I acted like one of those pompous people, like, you know, when they come around, they go, ma'am, do you know where this is? And I'm like, yes, yes, I know where everything is. You know, I was like, I've been here before. And I got upgraded as well. I didn't even pay for it. I had the points. And I remember looking around and watching everyone, like where they were plugging their headphones into and how they were getting this, maneuvering their seat, because I wanted to pretend and prove that I'd been there. And now I'm like, you know, I'd get into business class or first class in those planes where we used to travel on planes. And I'd be like,
Mm.
excuse me, can you help me? I don't know where anything is. But it's like how much I was making money as the source of something rather than acknowledging I am the source of creation of my life and everything. And money is a tool, and money is great to have. And I've learned to like money, to have it, and to utilize it in a way that I see is, you know, changes people's lives as well. Um, but not have it control me. And if you make money significant, then it will always control you. Even if you have no money, if you make no money significant, that will control you. It's like you are the source of creation. You got to commit to you.
And one of the things that I've also read about this, forwarding the money point of view that I have read is money just makes us more of who we truly are. So if we are very humble, it'll make us more humble. If we are greedy, it'll make us greedier. If you're a miser, make it you more miser. And it just money is just bringing out more of your being.
Yeah. I could see that. It's like money doesn't make you something. You are who you
Yeah,
be, who you choose to be
exactly. Yeah.
each and every day. Like when people say,
Mm.
"Oh, if I had money, then I'd be happy." No, it doesn't work like that. You
No.
get to jump out of
It,
bed in the morning and choose happy, no matter how
yeah.
much money you have in your bank account. And that's one thing I always did. I've always been a good morning person and wake up and I'm like,
Wow.
yes, what are we going to create? What's, you know, what adventures
Wow.
can we have today? Doesn't
Wow.
make
And that's
money doesn't
so
make the adventure. You create it.
so
Money's
true.
just
And
fun to
that's
have
so
around. Mm.
yes. And that's so beautiful. You go walk out, take a walk in the beach, nurture your body while talking, making business calls. That is something that is truly the definition of joy of business, what it would look like in my mind right now.
Yeah.
Typically, that is so beautiful. And one last question, for you. I understand that you have another commitment. So, is there any special strategies to thrive during after the pandemic?
Yeah. What can you be that's different? Like change your point of view that I mean, I see it's sort of changing a little bit now, but people sort of start saying this thing of, you know, when we get back to normal. Like I saw this meme the other day and it said, you know, someone's talking about, oh, 1st of January 2021, we'll be back to normal. It's like, are you kidding? No. We need to create our future. We need to be bigger and greater than the governments who are attempting to control us for sure. I mean, my point of view is it's a pandemic. I know that, you know,
Pandemic.
everyone's like, should we say that online? And it's like, yeah, we should. And it's like, gosh, what's happening in some of the governments? I mean, I'm in Australia. It's like we're treated like a detention center at the moment. We're not allowed out. It's like, you're not allowed in, we're not allowed out. And it's like, I mean, that's originally how Australia was founded. It was a colony, you know. So, I mean, it's very beautiful. I'm very grateful for where I live, but Jesus
Mm,
Christ, it's like give people some choice. But here's the thing, what if we didn't buy into the trauma and drama? What if we didn't have that point of view that we were stuck? What else can we be? What else can we be today that would allow all of this to change? One thing I've noticed so much is the communion that people are having with the earth, including myself. I mean, did you notice that when we stopped flying too and everything, the earth just became alive? Like I
Wow.
know in Delhi you could see, it wasn't,
The sky was blue again,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
could see the
So what
clouds
if
as
we
well.
looked
So,
at what's right about this we're not getting, that
mm,
don't allow others to control us? What can we be without having to fight, like fight from confrontation, but we make the demand that enough. And it's like there's a David Attenborough thing on Netflix, and it's called something like How to Live on the Planet or something. It's a story of his life. It's out around about now. And one of the things he says was, we used our intelligence to create everything where we are today, like the artificial intelligence, etc. We used our intelligence. Now it's time to use our wisdom. And that's what I get. Now it's time to
wow.
use our wisdom. Like, what can we create? There's
Mm,
if you go to, I think it's Actions for Futures / Earth Wizards. We've got this whole Facebook page at the moment that Access started, and it's amazing. Dr. Dane here has been doing some lives on it. It's totally free. Like, jump on there. There's podcasts, there's live videos and stuff like that. But what we're asking for is, what can we be that's more in communion with the earth? Like, how do we be with the earth? And because the consciousness will always contribute to something greater showing up. And that's what I think we have to be, not from this place of, you know, dwelling on what is not. What can
mm-hmm.
we actually create, generate, and actualize that's different? So you're going to change your point of view.
Yeah, and something greater is gonna show up or showing up. It's in the process of showing up,
It is. We
100%. And
just don't know what it's going to look like. I was saying that
yeah,
today. It's like, yeah, there's stuff changing. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and for me, honestly, we were in Delhi. We were in a 2 month lockdown, and I have
Mm-hmm.
never spent so much time with my family. We were sitting in my lawn, in the front
Yeah.
lawn, every day in the morning with the beautiful blue sky. There was not a single car on the road, no honking. If you've been to Delhi, you know
Yeah.
how much
No
honking is
honking.
there.
Now that's huge in
So
India.
imagine that. Imagine
Yes.
that
I
in
don't know. I don't know
Delhi.
what that would be like actually.
Yeah. So such peace, blue skies,
Yeah.
no honking, sitting in my lawn, sipping chai with my family. That was, I mean, this was bliss. So what
Yeah.
greater could show up in this?
Yeah. What else is possible? Like, what else is truly possible that we've not yet asked for? Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, everyone watching this, do check out. Okay, so Augusta is sharing the Wizards of the Earth, which is the Facebook group here. And if
Oh,
you want
awesome.
to connect with Simone, her Instagram is @Simone Milasas, SimoneMilasas.com. Also @Joy of Business on Instagram. And I am so happy to have you, here, Simone. You really shared amazing tools today and a lot of things to, just so pragmatic, just starting immediately right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much
You're
for
so
all
welcome.
your
Thank you for
wisdom.
having me. Thank you for finding me and asking.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure, and I wish you a lovely week ahead. Have a great evening, and be safe.
Thank you. And maybe I'll get to meet you in person one day.
I look forward to that. Yes. Awesome.
All right. Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Goodbye,
You're
everybody.
welcome. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.